And I think that's one of the interesting things of when you travel. Because of a lot of travel, because I've got very accustomed sometimes to being in places where I'm warned that I should not be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, don't go there, it's dangerous. And in fact, it probably is dangerous, but if you go there on the attitude that you're on the lookout to be careful, you can be in all kinds of amazing places, and nothing
And
will
it's
happen.
and it's
Nothing
not
will
as
happen.
dangerous as it may seem.
Right, and nothing
But
will happen to you.
and that's how the mind views danger also, like, and that's why when a bad experience happens to
Yeah.
somebody replays it over and over and over in their head, like if they got attacked by a
Yeah.
bear and escaped. Anytime they see a forest, they're going to think about bears, and it's going to feel real to them, and that leads to how people view dangerous areas and otherwise.
Well, you're certainly, once pre-warned about bears. If you're attacked by a bear, you're always going to be looking for that next bear. I tend to be more abstract in the way in which I think about the metaphysical part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say with any certainty, no more than anybody else can, that I have a soul that will somehow or another waft into another being.
Mm-hmm.
Do I come back as a frog? Do I come back as a seagull?
Mm-hmm.
Do I come back as Marilyn Monroe?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't say that at all. It's a nice idea that whatever one is not necessarily related to your human body, but I have no real way of knowing.
Right. Well, that's the sort of thing that you don't understand from the mind itself. Right. It gets brought back down to abstractions and logic. It's something that's felt more deeply.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about getting older is that you know what you like, and so therefore you know what you'll miss. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this stuff in the world today I wouldn't miss.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of places in the world I never want to go to again,
mm-hmm.
which is why I constantly want to go to places where I feel good,
mm-hmm.
where I have related to people, to indigenous people.
Is Greece one of those?
Yeah, it is. And one of the interesting things is that we live now in this technological world. If you just look around this room, you see televisions, you see all kinds of stuff.
Right.
We've got computers in our pockets. But do we really need them? And the alternative for me in Greece was that I could get much closer to nature than I ever got anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, I've written a lot about islands.
I've read some of your writing. It's very, very well written, descriptive. You capture scenery and emotions and people well.
Well, the island in particular, which is often the basis of what I write about, is an understandable thing because it is a defined frontier. There's an edge of land with the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And islands don't have to be enormous. They can be quite small. I lived on an island which was 8 miles long. I lived 9 months on an island literally 8 or 9 miles long. And yet, even then, I did not travel more than probably 20% of the island.
Mm-hmm.
So I can live in a very small space with a very defined frontier. And I think once you live on an island, you understand the winds, you understand the smell, you understand many subtle things about human life that you don't get when you live here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do I smell when I walk out? Is, exhaust gas
mm-hmm.
or something.
Mm-hmm.
The smell of the local chip factory or
mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different kind of environment. And I think that...
Well, I'm sure in general, though, the air you breathe here when you step outside is good and clean. And
oh, yeah. It is, in general.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
Different than sea breeze, but
not. Yeah, I mean, we're not. You know, we're clearly. I mean, if you take Florida alone, you know, which has got two oceans on either side, more or less, we get clean air.
hmm
We get washes from the west or the east, or whether with frequent rain that brings down anything that's kind of really bad. But going back again to this old world of the old
Yeah.
world, Mediterranean world, there is a sort of a politeness in the environment that somehow or another tells you, yeah, I'm just passing through. So, for example, there's one particular island that I think about a lot. It's in the Cycladic chain of islands, and in the highland they grow barley. So that barley is used for making beer, and they still cut it with a scythe, you know, with a ancient tool.
hmm
And their life is no different than it's been hundreds of years. They eat a basic form of cheese. They keep a few goats. They grow almost everything themselves. They survive on dried figs. They have tomatoes and other vegetables, but basically everything they eat comes from the land or the sea. They catch a fish, they kill it, they smoke it, they do whatever they do with it. They lay
did you
stuff.
see? You actually saw this stuff happening?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I've been a part of it because in my early days in Greece, particularly, I traded. I was a trader.
hmm
I worked for nothing. I worked because I enjoyed to work, but I enjoyed pulling nets, and I enjoyed taking fish out of nets, and I enjoyed getting given 5 or 6 fish, you know, decent sized fish. And what do I do with these? I trade them, go into the town and trade one fish for a loaf of bread, another fish for some vegetables, and another fish for this and that. And they live very, very well at that basically local way. Raw honey scooped out of the hive.
Yeah.